Man, I'm really impressed with this.
Man, I'm so excited. Our customers are gonna love this. Can't wait to run through the video for everybody on it. Let's get a review on this for you guys. We're really excited. Hey guys, guess what? Ken from CMX Powersports here, along with, as always, Chris. We're really excited today. We just finished getting our first CFMOTO U10 Highland Pro built. Chris and I were both personally involved in it because we're so excited about it. And we got a lot of cool stuff that we want to show you, which we're gonna do in just a minute. Hey guys, we're back. Ken and Chris here. This is, as I stated before, the brand new model 2025 CFMOTO U10 Highland Pro. We're really very excited about this machine. I'm going to dive right into it here, and we're going to get into some stuff, and then we'll move along to Chris and get some more thoughts from him. The very first thing that I noticed when we took this out of the crate and we started building it, there's many people out there that always hear me talk about how strong is it, how beefy is it. People see me put my hands on things to just kind of give, you know, a little bit of a kind of a scale as to how thick stuff is and how well I think it's built. You know, I always talk about weld quality. I always talk about frame quality and A-arm quality and spring and shock quality. But I'm going to tell you, seeing this from its infancy in the crate to seeing it outside of the crate, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm completely blown away and impressed with this machine. I saw it at the dealer conferences in Toronto before it was released. I think I probably was one of the only guys on the floor with my flashlight out underneath, just checking everything out, just because that's who I am. I want to know everything about it. We're going to get into some of what we went through because of my OCD yesterday. We took some things apart to find out what it was all about. But anyways, the first thing I want to point out, guys, something that I noticed here that's really cool is we've got super, super thick powder-coated A-arms. I don't believe these are painted. I think they're powder-coated just based on the texture of them. Another thing that I noticed on this U10 Highland, when I look at the stabilizer bar bracket that's on here, a lot of the machines that I've seen, it's just one straight bracket. But to beef this stabilizer arm bar up even more, they've actually went between 2 points on the A-arm. They went from the cross member out to the A-arm itself with this super strong bracket. To me, that's an indication of how they've done everything else. I know that they worked really hard on their R&D with this machine. I know that they spent a ton of time questioning dealers, questioning farmers, questioning ranchers, questioning all sorts of people on what they should come out with when they release this beast. So that's something, that's the very first thing that I noticed. I'm also going to point out the super high quality winch cable. It's a synthetic winch cable, and it's got a super high quality spring-loaded hook on it. The other thing that I want to mention is how really good looking and beefy feeling this Fairlead entry is. This right here, the little detail that they spend on this stuff to make it next level and top notch, to me, that's just A1. Let's go around. I want to show you the rear A-arms and stuff now that I've shown you the front and kind of how beefy that is. Okay guys, here we are at the back of the machine. This is something that we talked about on the front a little bit. I'm going to talk about it on the back. Side note, when you buy your new machines, doesn't matter what make or model, always check for grease nipples. They're usually right on your A-arm pivot points. That's just something recently that I didn't realize one of our customers didn't know, so I'm just mentioning it so that it's out there. So on the rear of the U10, you can see how large all of these pieces are. For the A-arms when they come out. Now, one thing I want to point out is this upper A-arm right here. What I'm used to seeing on a lot of machines is it'll look exactly the same as that, no big deal, but the underside of it is wide open. This is a boxed in A-arm, so that's super strong. And I can tell you, I'm always talking about welds. The welds on these A-arms in this frame are beautiful. There's no gobby, nothing. But this is a fully boxed in upper A-arm. Then we come down here to the lower A-arm. And you can see how kind of big that is. I got to say that's 2-inch piping for those A-arms. The welds are all beautiful. The other thing that I noticed on here, and it's something that I touched on the front of the machine a little bit, was the way that the sway bar, the sway link is attached to the A-arm. If you look closely here, you can see your shock mount pretty standard, and you can see your stabilizer arm mount pretty standard. But what's not very standard is this piece in the middle. So they've done the same thing on the front as they did on the back here, which is link them together just to give it that much more strength and rigidity in those A-arms. When you look at the suspension, obviously you can tell that it's super big, it's super beefy, but I can tell you that it's also super smooth and super plush. This thing is a beast. Let's go back around to the front and see what Chris has to say about some highway ability. Hey guys, back at the front of the machine here, I had talked a little bit about highway ability, and there's some things that Chris has noticed here that I'm gonna let him run through with you guys on that, because a lot of the places in the States and some in Canada, we're already starting to see that we're able to drive these on the roads. So let's let Chris take over and talk to you about that a little bit.
Yeah, so first thing I noticed was these lights are incredibly bright. They have a really nice design on them. They've added some fog lights here. When I was looking around in the wheel well, I noticed that they have a little reflector hiding in there. It's not super visible. And when I was walking around the machine, just come with me here, these tail lights look super high end, super bright, and they've put a little attention to detail there. They've got their logo there in the tail light. Reflectors all around. Like all their other models, they have the signal lights and everything that you need to be road legal. And they've put the signal light right by the steering wheel. We'll show you that later. But it feels like a truck when you're driving it and you're sitting in it. All the controls and everything are more similar to a truck than their previous models. Like the UFORCE 1000, for example, on the dash is where their signal light switch is. Now it's just right here. You can just click it with your hand without even leaving the steering wheel.
Hey guys, so as I was saying before, just to give you that automotive feel, signal lights are easily accessible, right where your car would have it. And it's got the horn right on the end of that too. So this really adds to that feeling of being in a truck, like it's high-end truck feel. Real nice.
Okay guys, here we are back at the front of the machine. I want to talk about some things that are really cool. I mean, obviously this automotive paint that they have on this machine, CFMOTO just nailed this particular color. And in my opinion, you're going to see the other models when they come out, they've done the same thing. The paint is super deep, it's super metallic-y. I actually kind of want to eat it. It reminds me of a nice looking steak on the inside. But I wanted to talk about some of the options, or not even options. I guess on this unit, it would be standard features for the Highland Pro. So this unit, you can't really see it, but this is a heated, cabbed, and air-conditioned unit. I've noticed something when I talk about the beefiness of this machine and some of the shortfalls that maybe other machines have. I'm always comparing everything to everything I've seen and driven. I notice on this unit, you guys may not be able to see it, but this thing's got a super huge radiator on it. It's got a super huge radiator and a super huge condenser for the air conditioning system. So what that says to me is it's going to perform for you in all of the elements that you want it to perform. You know, aside from the HVAC part of this unit, which I think is completely impressive. They've nailed it. We'll go over it a little bit more in the cab, but that fan is super strong. Everything's super accurate. But there's some things that I've already spoken about, you know, as far as the winch. CFMOTO's known for that. CFMOTO's kind of known for having paint on most models. They're kind of known for having aluminum wheels. However, on this unit, they wrap those aluminum wheels in 29-inch tires from stock, from factory. No need to upgrade. You're not getting 27s, 28s, 26s even. Some other really cool stuff that CFMOTO did on this machine, and we're going to show you this stuff so you can actually see how it works. Nothing new in the doors as far as industry standard, but we have power windows. And on the driver's door, you can control the passenger door, just like a car or truck. The driver windows are super smooth, they're fairly quick, they work really good. Something else that they've added to that is this front window will actually open by the push of a button. It's electronic. Boop, you can open the front window if you like. There's many reasons you'd want to do that when you're riding. Everybody has their own, so I'm not going to try to guess as to why you would like to do that. but I know people do because I see it happening on the trails. I see it happening on the ranches all the time. It could just be that you're out of washer fluid and you can't scrape off whatever's on there with your wiper, so you need to open it up so you can see. So that's included in the Highland Pro. Something else that's included in the Highland Pro is the power lift bed. That's a standard that comes with this machine. So when we talk about the industry standard of this machine, those are two things that don't generally come stock with the model, unless you spend, you know, a lot of money. Looking at the outside here, you guys can also see that we've got an antenna on this unit. There's a reason. It comes from factory with a factory installed MB quartz. I think it's a 7-inch touchscreen display and stereo system. Now that display is something all on its own that we got to talk about. That thing is so multifunctional, it's unbelievable. Not only does it have CarPlay, so you can hook up your Apple or whatever and have all of your stereo stuff, and your main screen on your phone shows on the stereo, which would be great for me, like for my maps. You know, Chris, I ride a lot in the mountains. Maps for trailing out mapping out my trails. It also has its own onboard GPS as well. But in that screen, there's a few other cool things included. There's a button you can push, or not a button, but a part on the screen you can push under the apps. It's called G-Force. And what that is it just shows you what your tip angle is sideways and front and back on your machine. And it will actually indicate you're getting close to tipping over. So please change your behavior. I thought that was really cool. We came across that the other day. But those are just some of the options, guys, that the unit comes with from factory. The wiper, the front electric window, the side electric windows, the electric lift bed, the winch, the aluminum wheels, the paint, the 29-inch tires. The list goes on. And I think the unit, when you see it in person, speaks for itself. And I'm going to tell you right now, it comes in at much less than the competition on the market. And I've looked very closely at all of our competitions, including some models that we carry in a competitive line. And I'm going to put this beside anyone, any day of the week, and see if anybody thinks that the price difference matters. That's my opinion. I know out there in YouTube world, there's lots of people with other opinions than mine, but honestly, guys, if it differs from mine, you really deserve to look at this machine. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to show you some of these features operating, such as the front power window and the rear lift bed. We'll show you the side windows go up and down. And oh, by the way, guys, just like your truck, this thing's got a rear sliding window in it. So I think that was really cool. All the windows are glass. I mean, this thing's just super high quality. I'm sorry, guys, I'm just a little bit excited about this thing. I don't usually talk this much and this fast, but I'm really excited. So let's move into showing you some of these things actuate and how they work.
Just going to show you how the front opening window works. It's pretty quick. I didn't think it would be, but it's fast. It's not slow at all. Easy to flip up and down. Just the press of a button. Now on the back here, so right here, we've got our electronic box tilt. Just the press of a button and it starts going up. Super handy. Absolutely great feature to have on one of these.
So guys, I usually don't talk specifications too much, but there's just a couple that I want to mention. I mean, you guys can go, everybody can go on the internet and look up specifications. That's why I typically don't talk about it too much. I think the reason that I want to talk about it just a little bit is because the specifications on this machine, they just work really well together. You know, we've got well over 12 inches of ground clearance from factory. I think the actual number is 12.9. The total machine has 16 or north of 1,600 pounds of total payload capacity, which means everything. But an impressive number to me, with no help or add-ons or airbags or anything like that, is that the box is rated for 1,000 pound in the box. I think that's great. You know, it's rated to lift 350, but you can actually haul 1,000 pounds in that box, which basically is a big round bale from a field. Let's go around to the back. I want to show you a couple more things. Okay guys, here we are in the engine compartment. You know, I always come into this part of the side-by-side, and I had a guy the other day actually come into the store and ask me, Why do you go in that? Maybe people don't really care what the engine compartment looks like. I agree with him. A lot of people probably don't care what an engine compartment looks like, but I really do. And there's a few reasons why. I look for differences in every machine that we have. I'll get into the other side in a minute here, but here you've got housed your 998cc triple vertical. So this is a super smooth, super quiet motor. It actually runs more similar to a small car or a truck. This thing is super smooth. There's very little vibration. I wanted to point out some cool things here, and I always do that. I find stuff that I like that I think was a great idea, and I point it out. So when you look at this engine compartment, it's very clean, it's very tidy. The sensors and the wiring are all tucked away really nicely. CFMOTO's always done a really good job of that. But our triple header comes into, I want to just mention the exhaust. Our triple header comes into a nice thick exhaust pipe and goes straight out. And it's like double heat shielded. So that's going to protect you, your cab, your box, everything else from excessive heat buildup. And on the muffler out back here, it's a long kind of oblong shaped muffler. We're fairly used to that. It's got a tip on both sides. So it's a fairly high flow muffler as well. Right here is something else that I want to point out. A lot of side-by-sides out there have alternators, and a lot of side-by-sides don't have any kind of cover on that alternator to protect it from things. This side-by-side has got an actual alternator, not a stator, and it's got a really good amount of protection around the alternator. I think that was great. They did it on the wheel side to keep all the stuff out of it, and I'm telling you right now, their attention to detail, guys, this cover right here on the alternator has a nice emblazoned CFMOTO emblem on it. So it looks really cool, as well as it's really functional. You can kind of see how high up your throttle body intake comes for your engine right here. It's nice and high. That's belt height for me. I'm sure, knowing CF, they're going to come out with a snorkel for the guys that like to play in the water. Now there's some things on the CVT side that I want to show you, and we'll move around there. I was just walking around the other side because I wanted to show you guys some CVT stuff, and I wasn't sure if Chris mentioned this or not, so I wanted to, just because I think it's a cool little add-on. 12-volt charging plug right in the box. Really cool. Okay guys, I'm back around at the other side of the engine compartment now, and I wanted to talk a little bit about clutch. When we first started putting the unit together, I was a little bit confused, and the reason that I'm touching on this is because I was confused. My brain cells got going. I had to find out why. So you're going to notice right here that there's a dual inlet pipe, or not pipe, it's a dual inlet box that reaches to the outside of the machine. This is pretty standard. We've seen this in a few machines in the past where the CVT intakes come out the side of the machine. So what was happening, I think, in my opinion, and I can't fully say that this is true for fact, but what I think happened here was they designed it this way. I looked at the original service manual. They designed it this way to be the intakes for these two pipes for the CVT, for cooling. I think what happened, once I noticed these two pipes going in a different direction from the diagram that I had, I think what happened is they said, wait a minute, I don't think we should do it that way. And that was probably from some dealer feedback or some CFMOTO rides that they were doing. Maybe they were getting excess dirt that was coming in. Maybe they were getting snow, or maybe even water. So I followed these tubes because, as you can see, they just go into like the firewall right here and down in front of the motor. I followed these tubes because I couldn't handle it. I needed to know where they go. I wanted to know, is it just hooked to the firewall and they're sucking air from just a void, or what? So I followed them in, and I actually took the seat and the under seat cover off to find out what was going on. So not directly in the cab, but basically right under the cab, right under your bum, basically, is where your CVT intake is. There's actually a special box there with special ports, and it's all designed in a way that I think they're getting the least amount of air disturbance, but the most amount of flow. I think it's really cool because what they did there was they're basically pulling air for the CVT from one of the cleanest positions in the machine. So you're not pulling anything in, getting it wet, getting it dirty, doubling up your maintenance time on it because it's placed in a spot that is gonna pull it from the worst spot. I think that's why this changed. And I know that you new U10 owners and some of you guys on YouTube are gonna be out there wondering what the heck's going on right here. There should be something there. That's original design. I don't think you're gonna see this piece here next year. because the original service manuals showed different tubing and this was utilized. They've changed it already, which is just another kind of salute to CFMOTO for the constant quality improvement that they do. I also like that they have, like most people out there, they've got their CVT air blowing onto the exhaust to help cool even more. I do like that it's flexible. Some of these, when they put a hard plastic one in there, it degrades pretty fast and get cracked and broken and whatever. One other thing I want to mention before we leave the engine compartment, I'm not going to bore you too much longer here. Obviously, this is your washer fluid for your wiper, but I want to point out where that dipstick is right there. That is a super easy engine oil dipstick to get to on a side-by-side, and just down from that, there's another checkpoint for transmission. Super easy, well engineered. Thank you, CFMOTO, for making it easily accessible. Okay guys, here we are inside the CFMOTO U10 Highland Pro. The inside of this machine, I guess the best way that I can say it is beautiful. I love the inside of this machine. It's so much like a little pickup truck that it blows my mind. I'm looking at the vents. They're not just the old cheesy round vent that you can kind of flap and turn. These are purely automotive vents. They have an inner set of fins and the outer set, actually just like my half ton outside, that you can adjust any way you want, and they're shaped actually exactly like my trucks. Up top here we've got our defrost vents, which we can adjust a little bit fan wise on our switches, but if we want to force more heat through our vents to our dash and our windshield is clear and it's fine, boom, we can shut the defrost vents and double our heat output from our dash vents. While we're sitting in here, I'd like to point out to you guys that these doors are super strong. On a lot of side-by-sides, you can grab the top of the door and wiggle it, and the whole door does this kind of gyration because it's weak inside. Yeah. These are not that way. They're super strong, super solid. Absolutely. Automotive doors. Yep. And what do you think of this here, Chris, just being included?
Insulated headliner.
Yeah. That insulated headliner is not only a sound deadener, but it's also keep your heat or keep your cool in the unit. That's not new to us. We've seen that on a couple other models. I'm glad they included it. But then up behind my head here is that MB Court stereo system that I was talking about. That's got super crisp, super clear sound, and everything, including the equalizer and the Apple CarPlay, can be run right from your 7-inch touchscreen on the dash. But they've updated all of the switches, buttons, and knobs in this unit to be a more modern than we're used to design. We're so used to the regular old zombie light switches, you know what I mean? Everybody that has side-by-sides knows what I mean, just the old style clicker. These are still a clicker, but they're super beautiful. They've got actual little nubs on them so you can feel them if you're running in the dark. If for some reason your fully lit gauge and switch package is not working, which I've never seen yet, but they've also made everything inside here waterproof, like our turf lock and our mode buttons and everything. They're all waterproof. Oh, by the way, let's talk about transmission for a minute. Let's talk about drive. So this vehicle is electronic shift. So there's no more of this with a gear shift. This unit does it all electronically. It's got an electronic park brake, and also the other thing, when you put this unit in park, it automatically engages the electronic park brake. It's got electronic downhill assist. Those are major developments in the CFMOTO world, to have electronic shift, electronic park brake, and electronic downhill assist. It is exactly the same technology that our vehicles are running these days. Our new F-150s, our new Chevys, our new Dodges, I don't care. That is the same technology. Moving along to talk about the fanciness of the switches. CFMOTO has upgraded their 4-wheel drive switch here. I think in the past some people are a little confused about that. A little confused about it because it had like a 2-wheel drive, and then it had a 4-wheel drive and a 4-wheel drive, but people were a little confused because it wasn't clear. This is super crystal clear. 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, push, turn, 4-wheel diff lock. Something I want to mention on the diff lock. This unit has turf mode. So you can lock and unlock the front and rear diffs as you wish. It's all up to you. It's not completely locked on the back end all the time. So in the event that you're on some nicer turf, or you're pulling into somebody's campsite that's got nice grass and you don't want to wreck it because you're turning, unlock the rear diff. There's another tip for you guys. Is there anything on the inside here that you want to point out, Chris, that you think is kind of special and unique?
Well, what I noticed is the key system.
Oh yeah,
Redesigned. It's a fob.
yeah, it's really cool. So the neat thing about this is it's got a programmable key system, so that if you have the kids, you can send them out with kind of like a my key. That's my understanding of it, anyways. That you can send them out kind of like a my key for a Ford. You can limit the speed. You can limit some things. But this key is very similar to a lot of the automotive keys out there. You just literally slip it in that slot, and you also have push button start and stop, just like most vehicles. So they really did the best that they could with this unit to try to make it as much like a little truck, or a little luxury truck, I would say, actually, in my opinion, as they could. You guys watched Chris open and close this front windshield. I did want to point out that that's not something that I've never seen before, but I did want to point out that there's 2 motors that do that. So everything opens evenly and everything closes evenly. And Chris, you would have noticed this when you opened and closed it. I noticed it first time I used it. When it closes, it actually sucks it in against the weather strip, so it seals up very nice. You've got a little glove box here. You've got, I think, your winch control. You've got another glove box over there. The battery in this unit, and I'm going to mention this because we got this question on one of our other videos. People want to know where the battery is for charging. They want to know how easy is it to access. Am I going to put this in my shed and be able to get to the battery really quickly? The answer from CFMOTO is 100% yes. The backrest panel that's right here in between Chris and I just pops down and boom, there's your battery.
Yeah.
That easy to access it.
That's great.
You can see these seats. I can tell you guys, from looking at them, you know they look good, but I'm going to tell you, you get in that seat and it just, oh, it hugs you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it just feels great. You lean your head back, and I could picture myself on a really long ride with this thing and just being super comfortable the whole time. Heat or air conditioning on, I got the tunes going. I've looked at some forums out there that are, you know, this unit has been out in the States for a little bit, and I've looked at a couple of forums, and to this unit's 2 closest competitors, people that own both have said that this is the quietest, smoothest cab out of the 3. You guys can guess at who that main competitors is, or you can look it up. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, I think overall the interior of this unit is absolutely beautiful. There's that rear sliding window we were telling you about. It's as simple as a lever and slide it open if you want to. They made everything absolutely easy. Anything else on the interior you want to add, Chris?
Well, they've added 4 extra switches too if you want to have some accessory lights or whatever you feel like adding that you need there, and it's super easy to reach.
Yeah, they threw it right up here with your front window switch.
Yep.
And the CF is fully capable of adding extra accessories without fear of loss of power, because it does have an alternator, and the unit is completely set up for extra accessories. I did want to mention, you know, we always talk about filters and stuff when we're talking about HVAC units. Your cabin air filter is down here right behind this panel, I believe. Super easy to access, super easy to change. Kind of along with everything else on this unit, they've done a super job in engineering it. They've made everything as easy as possible for the consumer, the end user, for the mechanic doing the oil changes and the maintenances. And they've upped the quality of everything even just that much more. I'm looking at the door seals. I'm looking at the strength of the doors. I'm looking at the window seals. Guys, this thing is beautiful. Even right down to the full gloss inner door handles. I mean, come on, that's little details that a lot of people are missing these days. This thing is like a luxury little truck. That's the best way I can say it. Okay guys, back at the front of the machine here. I hope we went through everything that we needed to today for you. If not, leave us a comment and ask us to make a video on it. We can absolutely do that. I have no problem if you guys want us to do a separate video on the screen alone. The reason that I say that is recently got the screen for my Z-Force 950 Sport, the factory CFMOTO stereo. I was only able to find 1 video on it. I'm the kind of guy that loves to watch the videos of what I'm getting so that I know exactly what I'm getting when I get it when I go into the store. So if you guys want us to do a video on that, please let us know. Don't forget to like us.
And subscribe.
And like I said, leave us comments, guys. We will answer you. If you have requests for videos, please leave it. If there's something we didn't get on digital media here for you doing this review, let us know. I hope everybody has a great week. We sure enjoyed doing the video. Say hi to everybody out there, Chris. Take care. Hold up. There was one more thing that I have to say on the U-Force Highland. What's the price advertised by CFMOTO?
So after everything you've seen, all the features that are included, this is straight out of the box. We haven't added anything. This is starting at 32,174 Canadian. That includes your prep fee, your freight. Like, that's mind-blowing. I had to triple check it.
And don't forget, you got a 1-year standard and a 4-year powertrain on top of that of warranty. Guys, you owe it to yourself to check it out. Take care for the second time.